Phoenix Splash TV.
Now, before I begin, I'd like to thank the ones who've clicked this video without even knowing who Hizaki is. For those of you who did, you're in store for something awesome. She's one of the biggest icons in J-pop, and will take your breath away. Let's take a look. That's not J-pop, and yes, that is not a woman.
It's a man, baby! Yeah! Yeah! Come on!
That's right, today on Musician Spotlight, we'll be going over the one J-rocker to actually convince me that they were a woman for the longest time. I found out so recently that my search history still bears the question. If you haven't heard of the band Versailles, then you really need to go and check them out. If I were a judge in a music competition and all of the greatest bands entered that competition, then Versailles would come out either close to the top or take the #1 spot. From composition to technical performances, Versailles is truly one of the best bands that you will hear musically. But I'm not here to talk about the band, I'm here to talk about someone you'll notice right away as soon as you see the band, their guitar player. When I first saw them, Hizaki was the first person I noticed. Not only was he wearing an extravagant costume, but he was a damn good guitar player, and impressed me a whole lot. When it comes to his personal life and story, there's not much that is known to the public. He was born in Kyoto, Japan, or at least that's where his musical career started. It's known that he joined independent bands first. One was called Squartix Marvelly. Just rolls right off the tongue. This band actually released 2 EPs, and one was completely filled with cover songs. The band eventually disbanded. Hizaki then joined other bands, all of which would last within only a year or shorter. He was finally introduced to a project that a singer known as Kamijo was starting. The project was called something I can't pronounce. Kamijo then announced that they were forming a band and that it would be called something I can pronounce, Versailles. Versailles then recruited Yuki, Teru, and Jasmine Yu, who played bass on Hizaki's solo work. Versailles would go on to be one hell of a band, coming out with a total of 5 albums, each one being really good. After Versailles would eventually disband due to the singer wanting a solo career, Versailles would recruit a new singer and retitle the band Jupiter. This is where Hizaki plays now. Hizaki also has some solo work. Like I mentioned before, Hizaki played with Jasmine Yu in what he calls the Hizaki Grace Project, where he plays a very similar style to Versailles. Hizaki is mainly known for his virtuoso guitar skills. I mean, just take a look. On top of being a beast at guitar, he also has a very unique look and approach to the instrument. Unlike most speed metal guitar players who headbang and have their hair long and grow gritty beards, Hizaki uses heavy makeup and dresses up like a doll. Hizaki's clothing, and as well as the rest of the band's, greatly resemble the Baroque era of music, which greatly mirrors their musical style. You'll often hear harpsichords and motifs used by Johann Sebastian Bach in their music. On top of dressing up, she also has an elegant picking style and unique head nod to the crowd. Some people question why he does this. I mean, in my opinion, looking at the crowd ever so often would probably get my nerves wrecking. Back in the day, Hizaki wouldn't say a word live. Sometimes he would growl or back up scream, but these days in Jupiter, he shouts with a really manly voice. It's kind of crazy to hear a voice like that coming out of someone that looks like this. On top of being a really good guitar player, Hizaki is, in my opinion, an even better composer. From a composer's point of view, Hizaki incorporates key changes, time signature changes, and my favorite of all, motifs. You can hear the same melodies that span different songs, like the one in Faith and Decision and Amoroso. It's something that you rarely see in rock and roll in general, and personally it just makes me love the composer that much more for having the balls and the chops to incorporate them. My favorite song by Hizaki is easily Faith and Decision from Versailles. It's a 16-minute song that compositionally gives X Japan a run for its money. It's also worthy to note that he didn't write every song for Versailles, as the band had multiple composers who were all great in their own right. You have to do a bit of research when you want to know who composed what. In interviews, Hizaki said he's more inspired by bands outside of Japan, bands like Dream Theater, but I actually hear a lot of X-Japan in his compositions. Like the song Sympathia, it sounds very similar to X-Japan's Endless Rain. It doesn't rip it off or anything, but it seems like it was going for the same effect that Endless Rain had. And it's just a really good song. Overall, Hizaki is one of the better guitar players that Japan has to offer, maybe even the best. From his technical skills to his looks, and yes, looks do play a vital part in music performance. When you see Hizaki play, you simply remember him. You notice his mannerisms, and they stay in your head, and it adds to the many reasons that you want to see him perform. It's also worth saying that he is in no way a transsexual, bisexual, or even a homosexual. According to some sources and interviews, he states that his costume and personality on stage is simply a character that he plays, and that when he's at home, he dresses and feels like a man. Nonetheless, he plays the part very well and is even modeled for clothing companies. Kinda reminds me of old European theater where people would dress up and become a character. I think that's what Hizaki's pretty much doing. So that was Hizaki. What do you think of him? Is he overrated? Is he underrated? Leave it in the comments below. I have to give a shout out to Vamps Talbane for suggesting that I do a video on Hizaki. And thank you, because I personally feel that he's a guitar player that's overlooked. I went on his website the other day and it was pretty cool. I even found a way to get his contact information. Hey Hizaki, wanna join my band? Speaking of my band, we have a new song out titled Crazy Jump, now available to be listened to on Soundcloud. Check it out if you have the time. Anyways guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. This is Josh the Music Man, signing off.